Welcome to another edition of the Hawk Off the Press podcast. I'm your host, Gazette Hawkeye's reporter, John Steppe. I'm excited to be joined by former Consensus All-American, Outland Trophy recipient, and now this week, the latest Hawkeye to be named to the College Football Hall of Fame, Robert Gallery. Robert, thanks for joining me.
You bet. I appreciate it.
So what was the moment like when you found out that you were going to be a Hall of Famer?
It was kind of a fluke deal. It just gotten out of an appointment, and Steve Rowe called me. And I had his number in my phone, obviously from the past, and wondered what he wanted. The story was that I was supposed to get a FedEx from the Hall of Fame, but because of the weather we've been having up here in the mountains, FedEx, wasn't making it on time. So he just wanted to let me know that it was going to be released in a few minutes, and it was actually great. It was great to hear somebody, a familiar name, call, and it was kind of shocking. I was pulled over, so I had good service, and it was very, very humbling. I was kind of thrown back. Obviously I don't follow when they release the awards. I knew I was on the ballot, but that's about all. To get that call, it was turned out to be a pretty exciting day.
And then you've had obviously a lot of awards and accolades throughout your career. Where does this one rank on that list?
Yeah, I think this is it's right up there. I mean, this is the ultimate individual accomplishment. Not that I did it myself. Obviously it took great coaches and great teammates for me to get to this position, to be eligible and to receive this award. But it's humbling. And at this point in my life, I'm not that those other awards weren't great, but it was, things were fluid back then. It was, even the Outland, it was on to the things after that, and pro career. And, you never really had time to sit and reflect and enjoy some of those other awards, because I was always working to be better and to go to the next step and do the next things. But now it's, I can sit and reflect on, my time at Iowa, my career, all of the accomplishments I did get, to read them on paper and then to read, what it takes to get into the Hall of Fame. It's, I'm very, very thankful. I'm very humbled, and to be on that list of guys that have made it from Iowa, the other 10 guys, players that is, and there's some obviously some legendary names on there. So to have my name thrown in with theirs, I'm thankful and humbled, like I said, and it's very exciting. It's I think this is right up there. It still hasn't quite set in, I think, after the banquet next December, but it's it's the ultimate award at that level.
Did you get a chance to see the other names? You're on kind of a star-studded class here going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, there's guys like myself that were early in the process. There's guys that have been on the ballot for a long time that are of the earlier eras. So yeah, to see some of those names, I recognize obviously a lot of them, and just to be a part of that group is great. But for me, it's to be added to the list of guys from Iowa. That's the real honor for me, is to represent the University of Iowa and be named with those other guys that are already in the Hall of Fame.
And then what was it about Iowa, and even before Iowa with East Buchanan, that really prepared you for what we can now call a Hall of Fame career?
Yeah, it's the time to reflect on that. It was a lot of things. It was a good upbringing, great parents that brought me up right, taught me how to do things, how to work hard, how to finish things, how to be consistent and really go after what you want. My siblings that came before me that played college sports, they showed me. My brother Jay, my brother Nick, and my sister Julie were before me, and then my brother John after me. But they showed me, like, hey, if you work hard, these things can happen. So I saw that happen, and I wanted that. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get a scholarship. So that was a big step in preparation for me. And then just getting to the University of Iowa, and no, I wasn't a sought after guy. I remember sending out highlight tapes that I made on VHS, to different colleges and to getting to school. It was, I was just another guy like everybody else on that team. That's the great thing about that team we had. It was just a bunch of guys, no superstar, a bunch of guys that came to work. And then obviously being a part of Coach Ferentz's, first year, I think that was a big part of it because of the struggles, in that 1-10 season that we all went through. And then building that program up, you just appreciate things so much more. You see what it takes to the work it takes. And it was just, for me, it's a blessing to have been coached by those guys, that staff, that, Coach Ferentz, to Chris Doyle, to Joe Philbin, to Reese Morgan at my position. And just to work with those guys, work within the system, and the to be at the University of Iowa, and the values that the people have there, and be a in-state guy. It was just obviously meant a lot to me.
And now, about 2 decades or so later, what were some of those favorite moments from your time there?
I think the not so glamorous ones. I think those tough times, the first couple of years, I remember those. Those were, as tough as they were fun times. Battling and everybody competing. We were not very good as a team at that point. And those off-season workouts, running wind sprints and competitions. I remember that, because it was just a bunch of guys working to be better. And then obviously, as we had more success, those big games, the double overtime at Happy Valley, Michigan at the Big House, this game after game after game, that really stick in my mind, and more so being around the guys. That's the thing you miss as an athlete, is being around your buddies, being in the locker room, the time, the practice, and that's a grind. It's, it's tough, but it's the time you spend in the locker room with the guys. It's the time you spend in the meetings with the coaches. That's the stuff I remember, the bonds I created, and we got to revisit that this year. Went back for the reunion for the 02 team, and man, it's the same guys, right? They're all, some are heavier, some are skinnier, but the same guys from 20 years ago. It was like we had seen each other yesterday. So I think that bond is the biggest memory for me. And then obviously success, right? You do sports to be successful, not only individually, but collectively as a team. And to see what we did, starting out with Coach Ferentz's first year and moving forward to, that 2002 team and what that program has continued to do.
Was there a point where you noticed, okay, things are different here, this is a winning trajectory here?
I think you're in it. When you're in it working, you don't notice that as much. Obviously, when we made the Alamo Bowl, that first bowl game, it was a huge deal, right? First bowl game we'd been to, and it's like playing on that sort of stage. And then going into that next year, we were having success, and then, the role we got on in 2002, but you don't really have time to think of how good you are. Even today, it's like, wow, that was a good team. We were pretty good, it was, and that's an understatement, but in the moment, you don't have time because we were working, right? It was like, yeah, it was great. We had a lot of success, but there's no time to sit and think about it and pat ourselves on the back, because that's the type of group we were, that we just went back to work. So after the fact, and now, 20 years later, to sit and think about it, it's pretty amazing to think of what we did and the group of guys we had.
What's it been like then, in the now 19 years since your time at Iowa, seeing kind of the continued success and the momentum that you guys started continuing, where only a couple times where there hasn't been a bowl trip, and one of those was because of COVID?
Right. Yeah, it's something that I think we're proud of, us, that group that came through there. You go back and you see stuff that, not that we created it, but we helped move it along. We got to that standard, and obviously it starts with the coaching and the consistency of coaching with Coach Ferentz and his staff. But to know that, where we used to work out, right now, you go back and see the facility these kids have. Like, we didn't have any of that. we didn't need it. It wasn't needed in recruiting. Obviously it's a different day and age, but we worked in that old building and we didn't care, not that kids care today, it's just a different landscape of college recruiting. But, we kind of started that, and those guys, they didn't go through that tough time. A lot of those teams that, so there's a year here and there that, those guys understand, but those first 3 years were tough, to build up, to be a 1 in 10. It's a demoralizing, terrible feeling. So I think it means so much more to us, like that we started from the very bottom and built ourselves up to where we were. And it's great to see the continued success that the program and system has had.
And now what are you up to now?
We live out in Lake Tahoe, California, and we got 3 kids. I got 2 girls and a boy that are very active in sports, and so we're doing, just being a dad, doing their sports, and volunteering, coaching flag football, doing that stuff, outdoor stuff, and just enjoying the time I have. I also been working with a friend of mine who's retired. He's actually a ex-college football player, retired Navy SEAL, who started a foundation for awareness and helping against suicide prevention for military, and we're getting into the mental health side of it for athletes also. So putting time and effort into that, because we all put ourselves through a lot. And obviously I'm a huge military supporter, so trying to raise awareness with them, and just enjoying life, and enjoying seeing my kids grow up and do all their things.
And for people listening who are wondering how they can support the foundation, what's the best way for them to do that?
It's if they go to Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. It's run by Marcus and Amber Capone. Marcus Capone was a college football player, like I said, and then a 13-year Navy SEAL, and they're doing raising awareness and doing studies for alternative treatments for guys with TBI, traumatic brain injury, PTSD, things like that. So if you go visit their website, it's donations. They're doing studies, things that help these guys. Unfortunately, right now they have to go out of the country to do these treatments. But it's something that's really taken shape in the military community, and I hope to bring it onto the athletic side, because it's the things that go on in battle and in football and in war. It's a lot of damage to the brain and to the body, and it's these guys are doing some great things to help these guys out.
And then with your kids, what did they think about now their dad is a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They talk about it. They kind of, I think they understand it now, what it really means. They're always asking questions about, oh, did you play with that guy? Well, no, he's 30 years older than me, or guys now that are playing. I'm like, no, they're so the whole the age gap thing. But they think they're obviously very proud. They're proud of what I've accomplished when we go back to football games. When they go back to Iowa women's games, because of my wife. I think they think it's pretty cool. We watch a lot of Iowa football and a lot of Iowa women's basketball here in our house, and it's pretty special to share that with your children.
So I assume they're too young to get recruited.
Yeah, they're 13, 10, and 7. So although the recruiting process these days is a little crazy, but they're just doing everything. We want to raise them like we were raised, to do all sports, to be well-rounded. If something happens, that great. If they want to go after something as they get older, but right now they're doing everything. They're snow skiing, soccer, basketball, volleyball, anything they want to do, we're letting them do. And but it's also, we're not gonna, they're not me. I'm not gonna force my son to be be into football if he's not. He is very into football, but we want them to get there, figure out what they like, and then hopefully if it's something they want to do, go after it and see what they can do with it.
Well, Robert, thanks for joining me.
You bet. Appreciate having me on. And yeah, just wanted to say I'm very honored to be named with those other guys from Iowa, all those guys. So I'm very humbled to be on that list of those names, because obviously those are some legendary names that are up there. So I appreciate you having me on, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in to another episode of the Hawk Off the Press podcast. Until next time, we will talk Hawks later.